Well, time to turn in the keys and say goodbye to the Roadrunner.
And for now, to old Route 66.
Grab my free coffee from the lobby and get back in the van.
All right, well, today I'm headed off in a direction I have never taken before. Rather than keep going straight east across Texas along I-40 or Route 66, I'm going to head a little northeast off the interstate highway up US 54, a road I have never taken, which should lead me up into Kansas. I had to pull over for a second because the van has a new trick where the little switch to roll up the passenger side window stopped working on the driver's side. So the window was just stuck down. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go to some shop and get the window stuck up instead of stuck down. But then I went over to the passenger side and that switch still works just fine. The good old Mark III has got some issues, I'll tell you what.
Ah, it's nice to be on 2 lanes again, watching the trains go by. Look at how flat the landscape is getting. Ooh boy.
We're not in California anymore.
Dude, that is a long train. How many locomotives does it take to move that? Would you look at the size of that thing? Crazy. That must be literally a mile long. The weird thing is when you're in some open flat areas like this, like you can't even tell if the train is moving. That one definitely isn't, but for a while I was like, is it? Is it not? We're almost out of New Mexico now.
And check out this tiny little old school truck stop. I love those old school 1950s parking lot lights. I presume that is the name of the little town we're in here. See, look at this. The building doesn't look that old on this part, so it must have been opened fairly recently. But then when you see the cafe attached to it, you realize, ah yeah, this place is old school, dude. Look at that hand-painted restroom sign. Look at the layers on there. You can tell that that bottom layer is really ancient. Here's the strange thing. Look at the writing on the inner door in there. Microwave oven in use. Is that like from the time where people were afraid of microwave radiation, or is that just to scare away customers? Because you're like, oh, we serve microwave food here, fellas. Wow, look at that old school counter and that pass-through window. Imagine all the people who stopped here back in the day. Not anymore though, friends, just us. And a bunch of birds that keep flying out of the roof. Ooh, and that lizard down there. I actually pulled over at first to look at something else, because across the road is this great looking old neon motel sign. Look at that. Doesn't look like there's that much going on over here at this motel anymore. Look at those old school breeze blocks. Look at those metal drums around with the little holes in them. I bet you anything back in the day these had lights inside. That must have been pretty cool looking. Ooh, I can see a sign that says historical marker ahead. Let's go check that out. Oh, I haven't found the historical marker yet, but look at this old mini mart. Check out that little sign. You can tell this was a busy stop at one point because there's a closed gas station over there. And then just beyond on that other corner is an old motel. Seems like the only building in good repair today, though, is the little post office. Oh, wow, check this out. Speaking of old signs, how great is that one right there? Ira's Bar. Dang, how cool is that? Now that is an old Western looking building. There's little tile accents around the top though. At one point, Ira's was probably the fanciest place in town. Whoa, holy cow, you can see inside through the window. Look at that, is amazing. There's still empty bottles of hooch against the back of the bar. Look at that old motel office right there. Super tiny. I think the motel is that pile of rubble. You can just faintly read the word courts on the bottom of what was probably the office there. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's a lot of chickens and roosters all the way around me here in surround sound. People always ask me, aren't you worried when you're walking around places like this about people getting you? No, but I am always worried about dogs. Folks in towns this small often don't worry about leashing their dogs. Everybody knows everybody's dog. I'm always worried about an ornery dog. I guess this here, at least in its last incarnation, used to be an antique store. Still plenty of antiques inside, that's for sure. Okay, got old oil cans, a mid-century chair right there, and oh my gosh, what the heck is that? That scared the heck out of me. Looks like Gollum or something. Oh, look at this, even in a town this small, still got graffiti. Ooh, at one point there were wood carvings in here. That's cool. Yeah, I never found that historical marker. Look at this gas station. Oh, that is a beauty and a relic. The sign, if you can read it, says Standard Oil, which of course later got broken up into smaller companies, one of which was Chevron, which you can still read on these pumps. Wow, that is awesome. It's weird because one second there'll be about 1 billion trucks here, and then the next second, nothing. I'm all by myself. Oh wow, look at that. Look how it says cafe on the side. Imagine going in there to get some grub. The sign says Chuck's Snack Bar. Man, there's nothing I love more than exploring little towns like this. I wish I had seen and talked to a person. So far, no people. It always makes me feel better if I make contact with the locals, you know? Oh, here's that building that said Courts. You can just faintly read Gateway Courts on this wall, and of course the other word Courts on that front wall. Man, imagine when this place was hopping and people were stopping in from all parts of the country, popping into Ira's bar, and then getting some snacks over at Chuck's. And you know everybody in town probably knew each other, probably always swapping stories they got told by visitors. I know what always fascinates me about highway towns like this, or old river towns. Maybe it's growing up in Anaheim right next to Disneyland and having so many people come from around the world to our doorstep. Not sure. Anyway, look at this. Now that's old school. Get it? Because that's an old school. There's an epic old playground over there. Not gonna lie, kind of want to play on it, but not sure you're allowed to go through this fence. I do, however, now see the historical marker. Ah, it says the town was founded in 1902. Check all of that out. I think it said 1921 this brick part was built for a school. Scary looking. Must have been horrible to go to a haunted school. Oh yeah, there we go. 1921. Whatever happened to Fred Bone, I wonder? And I was reading on the historical marker that the Adobe Gym was added in 1935 by WPA workers in the Great Depression. Can't believe I just said W. WPA. My grandpa, I think sort of technically you could argue as a WPA worker. He was in the CCC. So he was from St. Louis, sort of from the downtown, from the inner city, if you will. I know he got sent out to the middle of nowhere to work. I think they sent home $1 a day, something like that. I imagine a project like this could have been local contractors, but might also have been people from all over the United States shipped out to places like this in the middle of nowhere, seemingly. What's the job today, boss? We're building a big old Adobe Gym. It's a fine tennis court there. Monkey bars. Wow, and look at that. I really want to know if this still works, but I can see it rusted through in some spots. I'm a little bit too nervous to sit on it, honestly. Oh, no. Still works. There's no one to counterbalance it. Oh, but if there was, dude, that thing still works. It's amazing how old this slide looks to me right now. I'm like looking at all those rusty bolts on the underside and just how it's made out of pure metal. And yeah, the slide at my playground in my elementary school was very similar to this. Wow, look at these teeter-totters over here with the wooden seats. Old school. And I have no idea what you're meant to do with this. Do you? Oh man, look at the one lonely donkey, the lone burro of Naravisa. I have a playground horse very similar to this in my garage right now. He doesn't have a spring. Too bad I can't ship him out here for the local children to ride on and to keep this lone burro company. Hey, that looks like pretty new welding. Someone's keeping this in good repair. Not going to lie to you. I really want to go down one of these slides, but there's a lady over there watching me from her car. She yelled out of the window, "Pretty interesting, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure is." So I know she's watching. Guess I'll just have to wait till another time to get my turn. But man, how old do you think this stuff is? 1930s, 1940s, 1950s? Somebody's fixing this stuff up because they've replaced whatever was here with an aluminum picnic bench piece. See that? Awesome. Well, it ain't Disneyland. But then again, in this community, maybe it was.
My great grandkids, they love to come up here.
So that lady, Charlotte, is the president of the community center or whatever that operates in the school. She said she went to school there. It closed down in 1964, so well over 50 years ago. But she said, like I surmised, the local kids love it. To them, it is Disneyland. She was telling me that nowadays kids take a bus 24 miles to get to school. I was annoyed
going 1 mile on the bus to Walt Disney Elementary in Anaheim. I cannot imagine going 24 miles every morning by bus. Oh, dang it. Forgot about the window. Well, it's only 4 miles to the state line. Guess we'll pull over there.
All right, well, that's goodbye, New Mexico.
And hello, Texas.
I like how no matter how small the highway, the Texas welcome sign always has to be a little bit bigger.
Leave that here.
Don't worry, everybody. We're gonna drive friendly, the Texas way.
And we're also going to time travel into the future because
We've just crossed into the central time zone.
well, I've crossed through the undulating terrain of the Texas Panhandle over here. Finally started to see a change in the landscape and several large cow farms. I even got a brief glance of 2 cowboys. You don't know how bad I wanted to pull over and say howdy. Anyway, I figure I'm due for a break now, and so I pulled into the little town of Dalhart, Texas, which is ridiculously cute. Keep an eye on the van, Julio.
I mean, just look at this little Main Street USA clock.
And the giant Back to the Future-like courthouse over here, splendid.
Which, of course, has its war memorials, including this statue of a guy named James R. Fox, who was a pilot in China
Who fought against the Japanese?
and this monument is from China.
Weird.
I love little Main Street USA towns like this. The brick streets, the little theaters and buildings. And look at this sidewalk overhang over here. Dude, these are incredible. You see overhangs like this in old photographs, particularly black and white photographs. But as a lot of America's main streets dried up, look at this brickwork. Often all the awnings and overhangs would end up on the scrap heap.
Especially the tin roof overhangs that oftentimes would be scrapped during World War II, etc.
All I know about Dalhart is that it was once in or adjacent to a 3 million acre ranch,
Which I think was called the Exit Ranch, X-I-T.
not sure exactly how you're supposed to pronounce it. I believe there's a museum somewhere in town about it, though.
I don't have too much time, but I might pop in for just a second.
Hey, look at that building right there. It says the Slaughter Building. It'd be awfully disappointing if a building with that kind of a name wasn't haunted, right? Now see how the building next door is missing any kind of awnings or overhangs? And see how there's columns on that last building on the corner there? See, a lot of that decorative stuff has disappeared from many small towns, so whenever you see it, it's worth taking notice of. I'm a dummy. Turns out the museum is right next to where I parked the van.
Check out the outside of this place. Look at all the cattle brands. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, it's really quiet in here. Not sure what to do. Oh, I guess I'll just... Oh, it's so quiet. I legitimately just saw a field trip group come in here. It's so quiet now, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Like, did everybody disappear? Wow, look at this. That was one big ranch. Must have been a heck of a thing to work out here on land that vast with only horses to get around. Dude, you guys know I've been a lot of places. I've never been anywhere where the silence is this deafening. Holy moly, look at all of these saddles. They look awesome, especially this one. Wow. But I can't imagine it'd be that comfortable after an hour or two. Oh, look at this. It's like the back of an old chuck wagon. My friend Brett just rebuilt and restored an old chuck wagon. Well, he restored an old wagon and converted it to a chuck wagon. It's at his house. Brett is the voice of Mickey Mouse, that Brett. Holy moly. Or I should have said, holy cow. Look at all the branding irons. I really want a Random Land one. I've been trying to get the blacksmith at Knott's Berry Farm to make me one for a long time. Boy, I wish someone would break the silence.
Hello there, welcome to the museum.
Oh, hi, well, I'm glad someone's welcoming me.
Make sure to check out all of our exhibits. We got beds, well, at least we got one bed. It's awful nice. Hey, stop looking at my bed. How dare you, I'm indecent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not sure what the connection to the ranch is with all these old room setups. But it's pretty cool to see how people lived 100 years ago. Ah, look at all the children in the parlor. They've been banished from the kitchen. There's little Jimmy back there was stealing a bunch of Sea Island sugar. Look at him. Look how guilty he looks. Well, it's nice to see that there are other fans of history in here. Just gonna creep on into the next room. Whoa, look at the size of that cat. That's a big one. That little nature center, natural history area in here. Dude, I would not expect
mountain lions out here. I don't know why I wouldn't expect them. Got yourself a big old coyote rug. I don't know why that's so just the position. Splat! Ooh. And look at all of these creatures that live in these environments. Got the raccoon, the Canada goose, this murder bird, a couple of hawks or falcons. Is that a beaver? Here's a guy I don't want to meet. And neither do these prairie dogs. Look at this one.
Stay away from my horde.
Wow, look at that big old jackrabbit. Did you guys know jackrabbits aren't rabbits? They're hares. Jackrabbit fact. Badgers. We don't need no stinking badgers. Watch out, bird. Ooh, that expression. They both look like they've seen some things. For a second, I thought this was, and I was hoping it was, a dinosaur leg. I mean, look at that big old bone. But it turns out that's a front cow leg. So, probably not all that uncommon. Okay, I hear faint echoes of voices. From somewhere way back. They must have taken the children back here to look at all the guns. Holy cow, that's a lot of firepower. Ooh, and look at this wagon right here. Nice. I don't think it would be fun to ride on horseback for a long distance, but it might be kind of fun to take a buggy ride or a wagon ride. I don't think I've ever ridden in a wagon other than like stagecoach rides. I'd like to do that one day. Whoa, holy snap. Is that a freaking Tommy gun? That's a Tommy gun. Look at here, Shay. I'm gonna get this Tommy gun, huh? Head on down to the Dalhart Bank and make me a little moolah. Never mind. Might be a bad idea. They take the law seriously in Texas. Very strange. You got this old wagon. Then you have a railway luggage cart. An old, very early motorcycle, which is pretty neat. And then another bigger wagon over here. And then an airplane, and an experimental airplane, apparently. And just in case that wasn't enough forms of transportation for you, a sled or a sleigh, whichever it is. I think sleigh, right? Maybe.
Mister, you're dumb.
Aw, I know.
Tell you what, Fred, we sure do have a lot of cows. Yeah, Morty, I reckon we do have a lot of cows. You ever think we have too many cows? I mean, that one over there. Think that's one too many? Oh, Morty, the more the merrier. I still think that's one too many. You're wrong.
I'm genuinely wondering if anybody works here. And I don't know if that donation was just a donation or there's an actual admission fee. But as long as I don't get scolded, all right. I hear the children. I think we're approaching humanity. Not sure if that sound makes me feel more or less creeped out. Wait a minute, before I go that way. What in the world? They got Tiny Tim's crutch, and then there's this old school wheelchair. Look at that. From the old Dalhart Red Cross office. Look at this, is what caught my eye. Limp in, walk out. Dr. H.C. Wright. Corns, bunions, and ingrowing nails removed without pain. Have your feet treated by a foot specialist. Amarillo, Texas. Well, I really hope these weren't the tools he was using. Look at the size of that majestic buffalo. And the untouched prairie. It was interesting driving here and seeing the landscape change from red dirt and seeing grass again finally. I hope we spot some prairie dogs on this trip. Hubbub. Feels good. Look at this. We push this button here. We can see we're in Comanche territory. And apparently cowboy territory. Boy, this place just keeps on going and going and going. What does this say? The Dust Bowl experience. Please enter house for dust storm program. Okay. It says program will begin when door closes.
Welcome to my home. I'm so glad you made it inside in time. The sky over yonder's getting dark.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a black duster coming. They come up mighty fast.
Black
It's
duster?
dark as night out there in a minute, even though it's only noon. Don't you fret now. That's the dust cloud hitting the house.
What's
That
that?
dirt will drift just like snow all around the house and bar and starts backing up. Before you know it, small hills and sand dunes cover
This
the
museum
whole
was scary
peninsula.
enough before this.
Oh, and now it seems like the whole world is blown away. When I was a youngin', you could see the prairie grass waving in the wind. The land's always been the one thing we could count on when everything else was a gamble. Now we don't know if the land will ever settle down again. It's over now.
Oh,
That was a short one. We've had black blizzards the last half
a
day.
short one?
Dust.
I felt like she was talking
So-
forever. She's still
It's
talking.
on any other crap
All right, well,
house. We try to keep it out.
Goodbye, Dust Lady.
Well, we survived the Dust Bowl experience and finally made contact with an employee right when I've run out of exhibits. Well, except for two. The elephant collection. Weird. Thank you, Dora Morrison, for that. And this little chapel I skipped over on the way in. Look at that. I don't know what it's a replica of, or if these are actual artifacts. But it's kind of a nice place to come and listen to some preaching.
Dear friends, you are here because you came in through the door. You walked in on two legs, and you'll walk out on two legs again.
Yes.
Unless you grew a third leg. I hope not. That would be awfully strange.
You're right.
According to this, it is almost time. The end is near. The end of your visit to the museum. So get on out there and do your thing.
Well, that was a nice break, but it's time to get out of Dodge or Dalhart or wherever we just were and keep on rolling across the prairie. What in the world is that? Great Caesar's ghost! Would you look at the size of that Texan? That is the funkiest, most disproportionate cowboy I've seen in these parts in years. Look at the size of this fella. Just look at him compared to the van. I don't know how big he is exactly, or what it's called, or what it's for, or where it came from, or what it's doing here, but I like it. And apparently Julio likes it too, because there's not much he gets out of the car for. Dude, the funky big shoulders and long arms and odd hands, the pistol, the strange... Should he be on a horse? Look at that stance. Old Tex must be awful saddle sore to stand like that. Plus, I do believe his drawers is showing. Uh-oh. Don't know what this was behind him. Looks like some sort of tiny little business or outbuilding. This over here looks like it was some kind of cafe or restaurant right next door. But hot diggity dog, who cares? As long as this giant Texan is still here. I don't know who owns him or who is in charge of maintenance. He looks like he could use a little TLC. But that is impressive. Unexpected giant cowboy on the side of the road. Epic. Julio and I were just looking out the window at prairie dog mounds, and we saw a couple of pronghorns running around, but I think Julio likes this a lot more. Come on, guy, we gotta get back in the car. What? What's that? You know what, Julio? You're absolutely right. Mile after mile after mile of Texas out here, eating up all our gas and, of course, all of our time. Whew, long day already. Or at least it feels like it is. There's really no way to tell. It's all just so flat. And it's punctuated by so few towns that each one feels super important. But this next one we're gonna stop at actually is important. This is Texahoma. So named because it sits on the border of Texas and Oklahoma. Much like Texarkana is Texas and Arkansas. Well, Texas, Oklahoma, Texahoma. And the town exists on both sides of the line, just like Texas. How does Texas make all these deals with other states? Okay, we're gonna put a town right on the border. We gotta start it with Tex though. Has to start with Tex. Texahoma. Not Oklasass. Never Oklasass. All right, guys. Welcome to Oklahoma. He'll enjoy Oklahoma's wide open spaces. He loves to run and run. Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. Oh, the wind definitely comes sweeping down the plain over here. This is Dust Bowl territory. And actually, the very first time ever, I believe, that I have been through the tiny little strip of Oklahoma that shoots out west, the Oklahoma Panhandle. Very impressive. It's our third state of the day, and it won't be our last because this little strip of Oklahoma is not very big at all, north to south or south to north. It took a little while to get here and behind where I wanted to be today at this point of the day. But I think I'm gonna make a stop anyways, just because I've never been to any part of the Oklahoma Panhandle. I mean, the town's name is Goodwell, and look at this, home of the Oklahoma Panhandle State University. It says progress through knowledge, but it looks like it's crossed out. It looks like they hate knowledge. And yes, I just rolled the window down to show you that, which means I have to walk over to the other side of the car to roll it up. I wish you had thumbs, Julio. Ooh, I think that's the college. Welcome to no man's land. This is a tiny little town, but the actual college just keeps going on and on and on. Big place for a little town. But look at all these brick buildings, dormitories, classrooms, not sure. All right, I don't know how I can be getting lost in a town this small, but I have been. Oh, there it was, dang it. I have missed every possible turn. I'm looking for this little museum here. Ah, yes, finally, there it is.
Whew, the weather got awfully moody outside. Let's head in. Another very quiet museum. Sort of place where I walked in and they had to turn the lights on for me. Wow. Look at the size of this. Starting in the prehistory section with the strong rocks and the weak rocks and the massive rocks. Igneous rocks. Oh man. I was looking for intelligent ones. Whoa. Are these dinosaur footprints? I'm getting my dinosaur pieces after all. Dang, I think that's a mammoth jaw. They got mastodon teeth, mammoth tusks, even pieces of a North American rhinoceros. Let's add that to the list of things I didn't think I was going to see today. Wow, this place is much more massive than I was expecting. Look at these spinning wheels over here. Don't prick your finger. Mark Twain once wrote that the sound of the spinning wheel was one of the mournfulest sounds to him. I was going to say that the van is being kind of a bummer today. It's making a weird noise as I drive it, among several. But I think it would have been a lot worse trying to drive this thing across the prairie. One heck of a handsome car, though. Look at that old Lincoln. She's a beaut. Dude, look at the size of this. This is a safe from an old courthouse. Got a lot of big items in here. This big old switchboard, a bunch of music devices and radios, and of course, a whole bunch of dead animals. Let me explain what we got here. This one's dead. That one's dead. This one's dead, and his upside down feet are dead. Oh, here's a dead one. There's another dead one there. This one's dead. He died. Pretty sure a few of these are dead. Now, this one's getting ready to introduce some country bears. I don't know what this building was originally designed for, but it is cavernous, and there are so many random things in here. I thought the No Man's Land Museum was going to be purely about this little strip of Oklahoma and maybe a lot about the Dust Bowl, you know? Instead, we got everything from dinosaur footprints to really old muskets from Afghanistan. Look at that. A couple of swords, you know, for the kids, I guess. Confederate money, a hippo dollar, objects that I'd be pretty weirded out to find in your medicine cabinet. And it just goes on and on and on. Look at all these ladies here. And they all have very interesting names. Velma Bingham McClung, Annie Crump Timmons, Emma Pope Weeks, Mary Lou Latham Peppers, the grandniece of Dr. Pepper, of course. They shouldn't have called this No Man's Land. They should have called this Random Land. Too bad I thought of it first. Okay, into the final room here. And it dead ends. If this building wasn't purpose-built to be a museum, what in the world was this shelf for? You know what? It must have been built to house the museum because this guy, Dr. Noland McWhirter, was the curator from 1934 to 1938 and 46 to 65. That's a long time ago. This is so strange. Oh, there's a few more cubbies to explore. Oh, look at all these dolls. Some are scary, some are scarier. That was so strange. But there's another wing of the museum on this side. This one says European Settlement. Here we go. Here we have a map of Oklahoma when it was known as Indian Territory. You can see where all the land was divided up amongst various tribes. And the little Panhandle strip that we're on is known as No Man's Land. Hence the name of the museum. Look at this old Studebaker over here. And would you look at the size of this last room. Holy moly. Look at all the saddles over in this corner. Ooh, including some side saddles for the women folk. This is more like what I was expecting to see. And over here, we've got another Dust Bowl room. Look at all the dirt piled up outside by the wind. Hello? Ooh, this one doesn't have any talking ladies in it. Look at that. Imagine a huge black cloud of dust just coming for you. This little sign over here says that the Dodderer family in 1935 collected all the dust from inside their house that settled just on the sewing machine, put it all in a bucket, took it to the post office and weighed it, and it weighed a pound. 1 pound of dirt. Sounds unbelievable till you see pictures like this and look at the way all that dirt would just envelop whole towns. It's something to do with the early days of industrial farming and the way they were plowing the land. They jacked up all the topsoil, and the wind out here would just blow it all loose, and it would gather and gather and collect into these huge dust storms and just wipe out not just whole farms, but whole farming communities. So what were once lively areas full of settlers and farms quickly became quite dead. It didn't help that this all went down right during the height of the Great Depression. And of course, that's what led to the mass migration out of Oklahoma. All those Okies on the road, like Grapes of Wrath. And famously, many of the people blown out of Oklahoma made their way to California down good old Route 66. Dude, this place is ginormous and so quiet. And being alone in here is a little bit creepy, especially since the wind keeps blowing against these roll-up doors and making weird noises. This is exactly the kind of place I like to come to with my dad and my brother, because we'll look at stuff and talk about what it was all for, and, oh, imagine using this and doing that. Oh, have you ever heard of one of these? It's probably why I like history so much, because my family would do that wherever we went. But being blown in here off of the windy Oklahoma roads into the giant silence, it's a little bit overstimulating. Wow, that is a larger collection of dentist chairs than I thought I was going to see today. There's even a really old-fashioned X-ray machine. Oof, all of a sudden my teeth hurt. What is it with old museums and creepy dolls? Don't worry, gang. Creepy dolls aren't the reason I brought you into no man's land. I came to see something very specific, and I think I just found it. Look at this. Do you know what this is? This is something extremely rare. A four-legged calf. No, I'm just kidding. All calves have four legs. But not all calves have two heads. Look at that. 4 eyes, 2 noses, 2 mouths. Only 2 ears, though. A two-headed calf born 1 mile from here. Actually, you know what? He kind of has 1 head and 2 faces, but we'll let it slide. I guess he only survived a couple of weeks. Poor thing, but he died just in time to be stuffed and displayed at the museum's grand opening in 1932. This is pretty wild to look at in a display case, but it's even crazier that it lived for a couple of weeks. So this thing was just walking around someone's farm. Feels like every small town museum has creepy dolls and old beds and plows, but not every small town museum has got that. And that is worth something to stop and see. Plus, that's not all. This little horse went ahead and lost its 2 front legs. Looks like they plumb just fell off. I don't know if he was born that way or ended up that way after he was stuffed. But all I can think of now is that it would have been quite a sight to see this guy walking around. Well, that was awesome. And time-consuming. It's like the land that time forgot in there. The lady came out and informed me that indeed that horse was born with only 2 legs, and told me a story about a skunk that was a pet that was never distinct. That's a dangerous game, my friend. But I am now super out of time and need to push on farther to where we're going to sleep tonight, because Julio is getting hungry and he doesn't like puffcorn for some reason. What? KFC? I could take you to KFC if we find one. Yes, I'll try the Google. All right, just 1 more hour to go to make our way out of no man's land in the Sooner State and on to Kansas. Oh, it's good to be back in the Sunflower State. And if everything goes according to plan, this is where things are about to get interesting. That is, in the next episode of Random Land. Make sure to go check out our online store, store.randomland.com. Do me a favor, go check, make sure you're still subscribed so you don't miss out on the rest of the road trip. And then you, like me at this point, will have done your duty. You can go home and sleep well. Alright, so just so everybody knows, there is a town right here in Oklahoma, in no man's land, called Hooker. Welcome to Hooker, home of the Bulldogs. They've got their own gift shop here where you can get your Hooker t-shirts. Not my words, that's their words. Now this is a family show, so I didn't want to have to tell you this, But this is one of those things you just can't make up. Right across the street from the Hooker Chamber of Commerce, where you can get your Hooker t-shirts, is the Chinese Massage Palace. So once again, you have the Welcome to Hooker gift shop and the Chinese Massage Palace with table shower available. I don't even know what that is. I don't know. I don't even want to know what that is. So this has been Justin Scard reporting live from Hooker, Oklahoma. It's not funny.
Getting sick from inhaling all the dust and dirt. Babies and elderly folk have the worst of it. Some have even passed on, rest their souls. We were lucky enough to get dust masks to wear outside. Those who can't afford them have to make do with wet handkerchiefs tied over their faces and Vaseline in their nose to keep from inhaling all the dirt. Well, see there? Everything's okay. Y'all cover up your faces now. Be careful out there. Come back and see us again real soon.
A lot of closed buildings in this town. In fact, the only thing that was a big truck.